Hello guys, good afternoon. I'm so sorry that I could not do live video classes for you all, but I have already opened my YouTube channel for you all so that you can get the essential data or essential study material and the explanation you required for your subjects. Okay, so I was dealing with the ICC second chapter, that is cell division and continuity of life for mathematics board student, mathematics student. I have already completed mitosis, meiosis, cell division, or mitosis. Now today is the last part of the cell cycle, last part of the cell cycle, or last part of the continuity of life, that is cell cycle. Okay. So what is cell cycle? First, let us understand in general what is cell cycle. So definitions holds that cell cycle refers to the cycle of growth, development, and division of the cell. Okay, so cell cycle refers to the cycle of growth. Cycle means you know how the cycle rotates. Okay, it goes on and on. So cell cycle refers to the cycle of growth, development, and division of the cell. That means there will be division of the cell, then again the cell will grow, it will develop, and again the division of the cell will take place. So it will go again on and on. For example, uh, daughter cell, as a result, it is produced as a result of mitosis. We have already learned about mitosis. There are sub phases of mitosis: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, etc. We have already learned it in details. So let us go through direct this one. So daughter cells, which are produced by the result of mitosis, the growth and development of daughter cell takes place, and it forms, now it act as mother cell. Now mother cell will again divide, it goes under cell division, and will form daughter cell. Now cell will again go for growth and development, then it will form mother cell, and again cell division, daughter cell. So this goes on and on. So the name cell cycle is given. So thus the cell cycle in general diagram. Okay, now moving on to the next part. Cell cycle undergoes two phases. Cell undergo two phases. Okay, number one is interphase and another one is divisional phase. Okay, interphase, it is a non-dividing phase in which the growth and development of cell and cells content take place. Okay, so interphase, it refers to the non-dividing phase of the cell, where the cell, it grows and develops. Okay, the daughter cell, it grows and develops, as well as the cells content inside it, that is mitochondria, cytoplasm, Golgi bodies, chloroplast in plant cell, centrosome in animal cell. Centrosome in animal cell. They all grow and replicate. Okay, so that particular phase is known as interphase. And number two is divisional phase. The well developed cell divides. Well developed cell, after the interphase, the cell is well developed. Now it goes divisional phase, in which the cell divides into two daughter cells with the help of mitosis. Okay, so we have learned about mitosis. Number two, next part is cell cycle. During interphase occurs the three subphases, that is growth 1 phase, synthesis phase, and growth 2 phase. I already told you cell undergoes two phases, that is interphase and divisional phase. Now during interphase, it also undergo under three subphases. During interphase occurs the three subphases, that is growth 1 phase, synthesis phase, and growth 2 phase. Okay, so after interphase, the cell undergoes mitosis. I already told you there are two phases, one is interphase and another one is divisional phase. So after interphase, the cell undergoes mitosis, and again the daughter cell enters interphase, and the cycle goes on. Thus name cell cycle is termed. Okay, now what is cell cycle? Let's go in detail. So cell cycle, first mitosis. After the mitosis, what happens is the daughter cell is formed. The daughter cell goes under growth 1 phase. So mitosis, we already know that it occurs in 5 phases. It also has subphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and division of cytoplasm, that is cytokinesis. Now after the division of the cell, or after the mitosis has occurred, the cell enters growth 1 phase, where the protein and RNAs are synthesized. There are other phenomenon going on. We will discuss in growth 1 phase later. So G1 phase, in G1 phase protein and RNA synthesis takes place. After G1 phase, the cell enters the S phase, or S phase is also known as synthesis phase. G1 phase is growth 1 phase, S phase is synthesis phase, or in this phase what happens is that more DNA are synthesized. Since for cell division you need to have two complete two contrasting DNA, so therefore the cell during synthesis phase of cell, more DNA are synthesized. After S phase, the cell enters G2 phase. Okay, that is growth 2 phase. G1 is a long phase, whereas growth 2 phase is a short phase. I have made the short diagram. G2 phase, in G2 phase more RNA and proteins are synthesized. After G2 phase, again the cell undergoes mitosis, and after mitosis it again goes growth 1, and again S phase, again G2, again mitosis. So the cell cycle goes on and on. Next is I've already told you cell cycle, G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. Now we will learn in detail. So growth 1 phase, in growth 1 phase or G1 phase, after the mitosis ends, the cell enters into the growth 1 phase. Okay, so after the ending of mitosis, the cell enters into the growth 1 phase. So after the end of mitosis, the cell is entering growth 1 phase. Okay, so after the mitosis ends, the cell enters into the growth 1 phase. The cell enters into the growth 1 phase, where the cell increases its cytoplasm. Not only RNA and protein synthesis takes place, but it also increases the cytoplasm, and mitochondrial division takes place. So in case of plant cell, also the chloroplast division take place. So after the mitosis, the cell enters into the growth 1 phase, where there will be the multiplication of the cell organelles, for example the mitochondrial division and the chloroplast division in case of plant cell, the more synthesis of RNA and protein, as well as the content of cytoplasm also increases. Thus that phase is a long phase, and it is referred to as growth 1 phase after the completion of mitosis. Now after mitosis, after the growth 1 phase comes the synthesis phase. So synthesis phase, S phase, in this phase replication of DNA takes place, and along with it chromosomes are duplicated. Okay, so in the synthesis phase, the DNA replication takes place. We have already discussed about DNA replication in our live video class in Facebook. So I will not discuss it right now. I will make another video for DNA replication and post it later in my YouTube channel. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, synthesis phase, in this phase replication of DNA takes place, and along with it chromosomes are duplicated. So we know during the cell division the chromosomes needs to be duplicated. The chromosome there will be the formation of two cells from one mother cell. Therefore the chromosome should also be divided equally. Thus the multiplication or the duplication of chromosome takes place during the synthesis phase. So what is the replication of DNA or DNA replication? The replication of DNA is the process by which parent DNA divides into two daughter DNA. So I have discussed about the process in detail. So the replication of DNA is actually the formation of two DNA from the parent DNA. So that completes the synthesis phase. As soon as the synthesis phase completes, there is another phase known as second growth phase or the G2 phase. Okay, so the next phase is second growth phase or G2 phase. After a synthesis phase, the cell enters the growth phase, second growth phase or G2 phase. This phase is shorter than the growth 1 phase, and it includes the formation of more RNA and proteins. Okay, so the shorter growth phase in which more RNA and protein are synthesized. After G2 phase, the cell and after our proteins are synthesized. After G2 phase, the cell enters mitosis again. So after mitosis, cell undergoes G1 phase and thus continues the cell cycle. So this was all about the cell cycle in glance. Now Moving on to the next out of topic question, that is GO phase or resting phase, or it is also known as gap O phase or gap zero phase. So some cells, what happens is that they stop dividing, they stop after certain times of continuing the cell cycle. Okay, so they want to get out from the cell cycle, so that those cell enters the G0 phase or gap phase. So gap 0 phase may be temporary, or it may be permanent. Okay, so I will ask the question in the end of this video tutorial class, but let's discuss about the G0 phase. After the completion of mitosis, the cell has two choices. One is to enter G1 phase complete. So after G1 phase completes, it gets into the S phase. Okay, so the cell has two options. Just a moment. The cell has two options. One is that the cell after mitosis, it can go to G1 phase. Okay, G1 phase and complete it. G1 phase complete it and enters the S phase. Or the next option is it can partially go to G1 phase, that is growth 1 phase, and enter the GO phase. So it has to, the cell has got two options in this case after mitosis. Okay, after mitosis, the cell, it can go to growth 1 phase, complete growth 1 phase and enter the S phase, or it can go partially growth phase and enter the GO phase or gap O phase. So the gap O phase, this so those cell which enters the gap O phase, it stops cell division. It stop itself from cell division, or it stop itself from cell cycle. So there are some cells in our body which stop cell cycle, which get itself out from the cell cycle after certain time or a certain division of the cells. So you need to answer me what answer me. You need to give me give me the answer of one. Give me example of one those cell in our in human body. Okay, so concluding today's topic, that is conclusion. Number one, cell cycle comprises of four phases: G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and mitosis. In growth one phase, there is the division of mitochondria, chloroplast, etc., as well as the RNA and protein as synthesized, and also the also the cytoplasm. The content of the cytoplasm increases. During S phase, DNA replication takes place, as well as the duplication of chromosome takes place. During G2 phase, it is a short phase than the G1 phase. During G2 phase, the proteins and more RNA and protein are synthesized. And mitosis, we know mitosis, it enters the cell division occurs during the mitosis. Okay, so a cell those stop dividing undergo GO phase. So those cell who wants to stop from continuing in the cell cycle, they undergo GO phase or gap O phase. So question for the day is, does the cell divides endlessly? Give region. If it divides endlessly, then you need to give region. If it does not divide endlessly, you can give region for it. As well as some cell may divide endlessly and some cell may not divide endlessly. You need to point out your answer. Whatever your answer is, you need to give the region for that. Okay, number two, there are certain cells which enter G0 phase permanently after completion of some initial cell cycle. So I am not asking about the temporarily entering the GO phase. I am asking you about the permanently entering the G0 phase. So name one such cell in our human body. So that concludes our chapter. For ICSE. So, chapter 2, cell division and cell cycle for ICSE is complete by these three video tutorials. Now I will do one extra video regarding reproduction, vegetative propagation, and asexual reproduction in plants for Madhyamik board, because I have already done pollination, flower parts, and sexual reproduction and fertilization in my online video class in Facebook. Thus I will do the reproduction, the vegetative propagation, and asexual reproduction in case of plants for the Madhyamik board student. So stay tuned for the next class, for my next class. And if Madhyamik board wants to revise the topic, you can always mention in the comment section below. I will revise the topic again. Okay, so thank you class. We will meet tomorrow again. Stay safe, stay home, and take care. Thank you. Bye bye.